Good morning. I'm Sherry Bridges, co-chair of the Board of Trustees in here. Thank you to my board following. And I'm pleased to introduce Alisa DeRider, who is our faithful treasurer. Alisa has been doing this for many years and is very wise about how we should manage our fiduciary responsibilities. She's professionally an accountant too, which is a great help. So she's going to give you an idea of where we are at with our operating budget at this point.
Thank you, Sherry. Good morning. I hope everybody online can hear and see me. Okay. So, hello. Happy Bear Grease Race Day.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Live on Riley and it's right where that.
Yeah.
Cars are.
They are. So good luck. I mean, it's cold for them, but maybe the dogs like it. I don't know. Yeah. So we're here to talk about our operating budget. We're at the halfway point. So everything is tracking. Oh, one thing I forgot.
Yeah, right, where really fun. The route to get to
things are going pretty good considering how we started this year. You all remember we started with a pretty hefty deficit. And I'm going to go through what's going on, what it's maybe coming from, what we can expect for the rest of the year and maybe next year. Very broad strokes though, of course. So this has several columns and I hope that's not too confusing on our sheet. The last three columns, so the three columns on the right is this current month. So the July 2022 to December 2022 actuals, that's how we're doing right now as of this point. Right next to it, the gray line is the full year budget. So that's what, you know, our ultimate goal and or projection is. And then the far right column is, you can see the percentages of where we kind of should be, giving us a tracking on how it's going. The other lines to the left are giving you kind of comparisons. So I've got last year at this time, just to the left, and then previous years to 2020, 2019. So you could see where we were every December for the past couple of years. So if that's too confusing, I keep putting my hand in front of the camera, online people, sorry. Oh, but maybe they just see this. So we're going to focus on the back, the last three columns. Our combined giving is up quite a bit, and this is due to that extra pledge campaign we did to cover our deficit. So, and it also included a $10,000 match. That is not going to repeat, that $10,000 match. So this feels optimistic, but it just kind of like covered this year. And we were hoping to maintain this budget year over year. And this is, yeah, there is also a little extra revenue in the miscellaneous income that you can see is much higher. That's at 14,000. That is due to some one-time, not repeated rebates and reimbursements that were unusual, but lovely, and a windfall to boost up the budget. Also note that that miscellaneous income was budgeted quite high. We won't be able to budget that high going forward because we used up some reserves that we had that were old projects, extra staff, healthcare. It was just a variety. So we can't count on probably any of that money next year. So not trying to be doom and gloom. Let's keep it realistic. We had some things that happened this year to help us get through the budget year. We're going to have to keeping up. The good news is we have a projection of 281,000 pledging dollars out of 130 pledging units, and that's up quite a bit. So that's a nice positive trend that most likely, yeah, $280,000 pledges as of like predicted pledges for the year. And you notice that our budget is at 253. But again, that was one of those extra efforts to increase pledges, but it also, I think, is trending a little bit higher than just that extra campaign we did with the match. So I think it's the next column over. You can't see the. 235, I'll get behind the thing. So 235 was budgeted last year. Right. Yeah. So it's good, but remember it, a little extra in there, like maybe about 20-something thousand because of that extra match. And still though, very good. Other nice things that happened this year in our income is we had a very robust special event and rummage sale income. We try to be conservative when we budget, so we aren't depending on volunteers trying to put on special events if it's not going to happen. So it's always it's an extra nice boom when it happens. And the other last thing on revenue is for income is building use is up because we're kind of settling down in our pandemic. So people are doing events again. So that's lovely. And then scrolling down. All right, so I'm going to pause. Do you have any questions about income? Looking for hands, no hands online. Okay, oh wait, there's a chat.
That's me.
Oh. Okay, so you're checking that. Thank you. So expenses. We are, again, in that far right column, if you could see it, maybe next time we'll use a screen or something. I don't know how to make that bigger for you. We'll work on it. Like on this guy?
Yeah. You want to just zoom in a little bit? Is that how far?
Yeah, but then they can't see that. Maybe I made the sheet too big.
Oh, no worries.
Might be, I mean, the columns are, those first 2 or 3 are nice, but maybe you could,
Leave them off.
hide 1 or 2 of them, so you could still read the.
Yeah, I should have used the Excel one, then I could have.
Right, just do this at least. Have that be a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, sorry, there you go.
Thank you. Some of our staff is a little down. One of those reasons is the health insurance for the minister. We budgeted starting X number of months, and it started later, so we only had to pay I don't know, 9 months instead of 11 months or something. So we had some savings there. We also ended up with a little bit of savings in the moving costs, which was lovely for the minister. So that's positive. The rest are pretty close in line. The grounds maintenance, you can see, is like we haven't spent any. We haven't gotten our snowplow bill yet. So we're going to bust through that. You know that. So you can just think that we've already spent all of that 4,000 plus some. So that's under or over. And committees doing what they do, or you fair share is always going to be at 50% because Kathy, has that budgeted out and pays for it and then puts the actuals in each quarter. And then coming up, we'll have some miscellaneous building repairs. So we'll probably bust through the building maintenance. We do every year, but that's okay. We have a reserve. We're going to stay within our means, but that's why we always budget for a building reserve. Because if years we don't have some significant repairs, unlikely, but extra goes into the reserve, which is why I also like to increase it every year. I think I've shown you on the budget when we talk about this, I want it to go up every year. Because our building is getting to the point where things are needing replacing, like, the furnaces and the everything. So that's all the notes I have about expenses. Are there any questions? Jane?
Oh, so we're at projected $23,000.
That's our budget. That's what we budgeted for this year.
Oh, okay.
Remember, because we knew that's why we did this extra fundraising. I don't know if people online heard, Jane said that we are projected at a $23,000 deficit. And yes, that is true. That is the budget we voted on, hence the reason for the extra campaigns. I saw Anne, and then we'll go to Sherry.
On fair share, is our budget half a lot?
It's at 50.
What they asked for.
It's Anne asked, is our budget for fair share at half of what we know? And it is at actually 55%. We're trying to increase that as well to get to 100%, because it's an important service for us. Sherry?
One of the unusual parts of this budget that totally unexpected is that early.
Maybe you want to come on so everybody can hear you. Can you?
Sorry about this online, everyone. Here you go.
Early this fall, Reverend Peter came to the board and suggested that he would like to reduce his full-time equivalency, his FTE, to 0.8. So that was an unexpected drop in our budget. And at that point, we were very grateful. He's been working extraordinarily hard. But we cannot expect that that would always be the same for a future minister.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? I'm gonna just hand it.
This is Barb Monty. I had the opportunity to review the peace budget, and we're not outrageously in trouble compared to our fellow congregations in Duluth. And then I had the opportunity for at least a half an hour to visit with one of the charismatic Christian congregants, and how they planted 5 satellite churches, and their youth program is growing. And I think having some visiting folks from the area come in and have some brainstorming back and forth to see what's working in Duluth and what is possibly needing to be rebirthed and revisioned, because we have a fantastic building, a fantastic message, fantastic people, and I know that we are just poised to take off. So I'm really hopeful.
Thank you, Barb, for this uplifting words. Other commentary? I mean, I would like to say that I think we do a pretty good job fiscally. I think we have a very strong finance council. We have very dedicated staff and volunteers, finance volunteers. So we're putting quite a bit of effort into keeping us realistic and maybe a little conservative. We took a big leap this past year, and we're working, we're going towards it. But so you got to risk something, I suppose, for reward. Yeah, Jane.
Could you shrink the screen so I can see the percentages for the expenses? Like it seems to revel some.
Is that, can you see it now? Okay. So those are pretty, you can see they're pretty in line of close to 50%.
Are there any questions in the chat?
There's 8 people
Oh,
online,
8.
and I've prompted them a few times for questions, none yet.
Yeah, Brent has been looking, which is lovely. I appreciate that. It is hard to watch that and yeah. Okay, well, we can open it up. Oh, a balance sheet. I don't know if y'all want to see the balance sheet. I get it ready.
You made it, so go ahead and share.
Let's see, I'm gonna have to stop share. And then find it.
It should be open behind that one, it puts X out.
I am not very familiar with Max.
Yeah, no, they're a confusing breed. There we go. This guy?
Yeah.
There we go. And we can zoom in.
So again, it's probably got more information than you want. The far right column is the one you're interested in, but the other ones are for comparison. So this is how we've been doing for the past 6 months, the green and then the light blue. And then when you get to just the June, that's just year end, our fiscal year end is June, how it's tracking over the years. There's not a lot. I think we have higher assets because people have been really up on their pledges.
I noticed in about 5 years, we've doubled our budget. And that, I think, speaks to our message.
Yeah, well, this is not budget. This is just assets like cash
Right.
in hand at that time. So it's probably higher now in December. I think people pay a lot of their pledges ahead of time by year end. There's some other reasons, so don't use that as a real good guide that it's 142,000. Liabilities, equity, I mean, I think it's all tracking. Capital fund, that's our nice $4 million building plus the member loans sit in here. You can see under liabilities, that's 83,000. That's the member loans. And I think then that's part of what we have to pay them for the, what is it, September or something, we pay their interest.
So are we paying, is there a plan for paying that back, or is that just being carried?
It's pretty much just being carried every year. We just renew it every time the 5-year lease or contract ends with the member loan folks. We generally renew those. I would like us to move towards paying that off and having no, debt like that.
We're just not there.
We're just not there yet. Any other?
Restricted funds.
I could just. Can you help me?
Yeah, zoom in.
Sorry. Oh, no, I want to get down to this part. I was
Oh,
trying to,
perfect, yeah.
oh, there we go. Thank you.
Do you want it zoomed in a little
No,
bit?
no,
or-
not so
okay.
much. I think that's good. So restricted funds then is our building fund and other things that we put aside. Endowment, that's going back down again, but that's okay. We hit the $100,000 mark once and that triggered, some changes. We increased the endowment committee and then the Korkendorfer fund is what it is, I guess. It's unfortunate it's under 20,000 because I think that's where it started. It would be nice to have it, keep it 20,000 and then use the balance there.
No,
Yeah,
that's what the market does.
yep, exactly, market.
Was used back in the Winona era, the youth went to the Gulf after one of the hurricanes and worked.
For those online, Giger just reminded us that we used some of the Korkendorfer fund back in the Winona days because our youth went down to the Gulf to help some disaster recovery.
Right. And some of the kiddos went to leadership school.
And some kids
But-
went to leadership school.
When I talked to that gentleman as to how they grew their youth program, he said it's a mission trip every year. It's a mission trip. The kids come and then they, a good percentage of them stick around.
So for those online, Barb said one of the exciting churches she talked to has a mission trip every year for the young people, which is fun.
It's life changing. If you've gone on a mission trip when you were a kiddo, it is life changing. Even
Yeah.
as an adult, it's life changing.
Yeah. Jean,
Can you remind me what's in the restricted funds? The operations?
maybe Giger can help me with this. It's got the building reserve. I think the solar's in there.
Detail on balance sheet, if scroll up to the detective section. And look at the column. No, I'll go, so you don't have
Just
to-
gonna leave it there. Go up to the equity section. There we go.
In the restricted column. You just had totals.
I don't have any details on this sheet.
Well, in that category is the.
That's a really good Kathy and Gager question. Don't have a memory.
The restricted fund, you can see the cash balance up there, the little arrow that Elise was about to show you, I think. There's quite a bit of money in that aggregated fund. It includes the reserve for the building repair. It includes various activity focus categories in the congregation, like gyms and I'm blanking.
Maybe Memorial Garden?
Well, that actually has a deficit balance, but the outdoor sanctuary has a reserve from major gifts that were made back in the construction era. And there's sort of capital management of the outdoor sanctuary, investment in trees and benches and different kinds of things like that. But your question was, what, Jane, am I right? You want to know the different things that are in that?
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, it's a, what is getting covered by those?
Building, I guess.
They are under the management by board authorization. They're under the management of the oversight group, like the Arts
Right.
Council. They would handle that. The Green Sanctuary Council handles the restricted fund for outdoor sanctuary. And there's a subgroup of the Arts Council that has steered the Heritage Room project where the Memorial Board is.
Right.
And so if you would like a detailed list, it's in the board folder.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Giger.
I think the seats money is in there too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seeds money, yep, and then building reserve is like 30,000. I will make a note though for next time to bring the balance sheet details when these come up. Because then we could just open it up and look at it. I'm just dying. Any other questions? We can even open it up out of finance. We have a few board members here. If it's something I can't address.
It's jumping the gun and you may not have the answer, but in terms of what the budget for next year, I mean, you laid out a few little dark clouds, so wondering what it actually looks like when you put it all together. If you've done that.
It's going to be pretty similar to this year's budget. With the same deficit is where we're tracking right now.
Same amount of deficit or approximately?
Roughly, yep. We'll have a little bit more expense because of a transition that we'll talk about later. Yeah, so it's gonna be like this, so we need to, that's why I was trying to emphasize those one-time things, because it means that we still need to step up our game to have the programming that we all think is important for our congregation, that will help make us more vibrant. So that's our risk. I'm more conservative. I like when we have a planned overage instead of a planned deficit, but that's okay. That's why it takes all of us, right? All of us on different sides to come up to our middle ground.
I was just gonna say that every year, there's some unique event that happens economically for our budget. And it's different every year. We can't predict it ever. You know, it's a rebate that we didn't know about, or, and Kathy Stimmett's been awesome at finding those kinds of things. So we never know what it is. Sometimes sadly, it's that a staff person steps away. And so we have that, you know, salaries are the biggest part of our budget. But the problem with budgets is we think that 1 + 1 = 2, and budgets aren't math. Budgets are projections. And so there's always something that happens, and it's been in our favor. So, you know, we just have to be hopeful.
But that's not something you want to do.
No, and also some of those favorable things that just happen actually required a lot of work to make them happen. So it's not just they fall in our lap. I want everybody to know that people on the board and finance council work their butts off to make sure we're making payroll when we make these big jumps. I think I saw Giger and Sherry. You quit knifing each other.
Alisa had mentioned that personnel is the largest item in the expense side of the budget. Pledges is the largest on the revenue side. Job descriptions. Job descriptions for those big expense items, I would suggest, are the starting place for the leadership planning people who know what kind of activity in the operations for the growth and well-being of the congregation. I believe we need to have informed review, or not review, but awareness of what's in those job descriptions, what's missing, because that's the link. These people are to perform within their job descriptions for the common good of the community. And that to me has been a missing bit of a link that it should be widely understood what the responsibilities are. And this is especially relevant with interim ministers and with the lifespan director thing, which was a big change last year. And the board's response back in the development period was they didn't have the job description yet. So I believe we would all benefit from a solid, deepened understanding of what that job description is and help everybody.
Good point, Speaker. And just as a reassurance, the Personnel Committee is set to meet after Kathy returns from vacation, and we'll be starting to examine the current job descriptions and take into account what we learned from the recent leadership retreat to start playing with a version of a strategic plan that will be brought to you later this spring. We realize we can't do everything. My favorite mantra at some point is less can be more. So we'll be looking at all sorts of ways of delivering the best program to this congregation. And our board members today are in neutral mode. So we're not expressing our personal opinions on any of this. We're listening to what you have to say. We'll take this back to our meeting with our regional consultant this coming Thursday. And that begins the proactive process of dealing with the change.
Thank you so much, Sherry. And I just wanted to say, you know, the job descriptions and the understanding of processes and how we consider ideas and what gets brought to like the top of the priorities and all of that is all things that we are looking at and aware of the need for. And you know, also like Sherry says, you know, like you know, we can focus on only so many priorities at one time, because if everything is important, then nothing is important. So trying to like, you know, developing our strategic plan will really allow us to kind of figure out how to address the things that we need to address moving forward, so that we can continue to thrive and grow. And this is a really exciting time, and it's certainly time for all of us to be showing up and stepping up and doing the things that we are called to by this congregation and by our principles and our values. And I'm so thankful that we have the number of people here right now that we have, and I'm so thankful for the number of people who are coming to our services, and I'm just really excited. And so I appreciate so much, Alisa, your bringing forth our kind of status update for everybody to hear. So thank you for being here.